You listen to this as if you chose it. Already, this is a lie. A few minutes ago, another impulse chose a different thing. A moment before that, another you wanted to eat, to scroll, to escape. Now this one sits here, serious, spiritual, ready for truth. Tell me, which one of these is you? You live surrounded by these fragments and you call this confusion I. Do not believe me, verify. As you hear these words, notice. One part is interested, another is doubtful, another is impatient and wants to skip ahead. You are not one, you are many. Yet you speak as if you are one permanent being with one permanent soul. This is the first illusion that must crack. You assume you already possess that which in reality is only an unfinished possibility. Right now, without changing your position, become aware of the weight of your body where it rests. The pressure of your back against the chair, your feet on the ground. At the same time, listen to these words. Let there be two directions of attention, outside to the sound, inside to the sensation. For a brief moment, you are slightly more present. For a brief moment, one small light turns on in a very large, dark house. You have heard people say, we all have a soul. It sounds comforting, democratic, safe. But what if this is not so? What if what you call soul is at best a seed, an embryo that may or may not grow? A seed is not yet a tree. A seed can dry out, rot, disappear without ever becoming what it was meant to be. Nature gives you a seed. It does not guarantee you the tree. Look sincerely at your life. Moods drag you here and there. One day you love, the next you hate. You promise yourself in the morning, betray yourself by the evening. Today you are full of resolve, tomorrow full of excuses. Is this the action of a solid, immortal soul? Or is this the behavior of an unstable mechanism, reacting, reflecting, imitating? See the small shocks of the day. A message arrives at once, your stomach tightens, your thoughts speed, your breath shortens. Where were you in that moment? Did you choose that reaction? Or did something press a button and the machine responded? If your inner state is so easily purchased by every tiny event, what exactly do you imagine will survive the death of your body? Now, as you listen, find one simple thing, the contact of your hands with each other or with the surface they rest on. Feel it directly, not as an idea. Feel the texture, the warmth, the pressure. At the same time, follow my words. And also at the same time, faintly remember yourself. I am here, hearing this. Do not repeat the phrase in your head like a parrot. Taste it. For a second, you are less mechanical. For a second, you approach the possibility that something permanent might begin to form. Understand, this is not a moral accusation. This is not about good or bad. A machine is not bad. It is simply what it is, automatic, predictable, under known conditions. Humanity lives for the most part as well-educated machines. You are born, you are fed, you are conditioned, trained to respond as society needs. For example, not expressing a negative emotion the moment it arises, not by repressing it into darkness, but by seeing it fully, feeling the heat in the body, hearing the angry thoughts, and holding it all with awareness. You suffer the discomfort of not discharging it outward as usual, or you endure the pain of seeing your own vanity, your cowardice, your falseness, without rushing to cover it with excuses. You suffer the blow to your pride, and you stay present. Now, think of a recent moment when you felt a strong negative emotion, a flash of rage, jealousy, self-pity. Remember it for a moment. As you do, feel your feet on the ground, your hands where they are. Let the memory come, but do not merge with it entirely. Watch the old scene rekindle a little heat inside you. Notice the impulse to explain, to justify, to blame. And for a few seconds, do not follow that impulse. Do not argue against it either. Simply remain as a witness who bears the discomfort. This is a taste of voluntary suffering. Understand this has nothing to do with seeking pain for its own sake or tolerating abuse or glorifying misery. Those are distortions. Voluntary suffering is chosen in small, precise doses to serve a definite aim, the transformation of energies. When you refrain from your usual expression of negativity, the energy that would have been thrown out in words, gestures, inner fantasies is held inside. Under the right conditions, it can be refined and used to build the subtle body. You will notice that it costs you something. It is easier to explode in anger or sink into self-pity. To remain present in discomfort, neither lashing out nor collapsing, requires a strength you do not yet have in abundance. But each time you manage even a small portion of this, something crystallizes, a certain seriousness appears, a taste of real responsibility for your inner state. This responsibility is part of the skeleton of the soul. Now, as another experiment, bring to mind something you are afraid to do or face, a conversation you avoid, a truth about yourself you do not want to admit, a task you postpone endlessly. As you feel the slight contraction that arises with this thought, at the same time, sense your spine, your breath, your hands. Admit, at least to yourself, I am afraid of this. Do not cover it. Do not dramatize it. Stay with the raw fact for a few seconds. This is voluntary suffering, to stand in front of your own fear without turning away. Conscious labor and voluntary suffering are forms of payment. Nothing real is received in this universe without payment. You have paid much already for your illusions, your mechanical pleasures, your escapes. You pay with time, with health, with fractured relationships, with inner emptiness. The work invites you to pay differently, with attention, with honesty, with the willingness to endure inner friction for the sake of something higher. These efforts cannot be made continuously at first. You will try for a few seconds and then forget. You will decide in the morning to observe yourself all day, and by lunch you will remember only that you had decided something. You will resolve not to express negativity and then find yourself in mid-explosion before the resolution returns. Good. Each recognition of failure, if seen without self-hatred, is also voluntary suffering. It hurts to see you are not as strong as you imagined. Let that hurt be used as fuel, not as a reason to sink into despair. Self-observation shows you the machine. Self-remembering gives you brief experiences of a different level in you. Conscious labor and voluntary suffering begin to build a bridge between the two. That bridge is the first structure of the soul embryo. It is fragile. It needs repeated work. You cannot build it in a day, nor by listening to one talk. You can only begin here now with these small inner actions. Feel your whole body again as one mass of sensation. Feet, legs, hips, chest, arms, head. Do not seek details, only the general presence. Let the breath move naturally. At the same time, notice any emotion that is present now. Perhaps interest, resistance, fatigue, boredom, irritation. Label it inside softly. Mild boredom, curiosity, doubt without clinging to it. And alongside these two, add the quiet recognition. I am here, seeing this body, this emotion in this moment. Hold this triad for as long as you can, maybe only one breath. This is all. This is already a small act of conscious labor and voluntary suffering because it goes against your habitual inertia. You are not asked to become a saint today, nor to crush your humanity. You are asked to begin to live with a little more truth, a little more presence, a little more willingness to endure yourself as you are without running away. If you continue this, if you repeat these small efforts 1,000 times in 1,000 days, the embryo will not remain an empty possibility. It will grow slowly, silently, gathering substance from every moment in which you do not sleep entirely. No one can promise you success. Many begin, few continue. The machine is strong, the pull of sleep is sweet. But you have heard something now that you cannot completely unhear. Somewhere in you, a seed has been touched. Whether it remains a theory or becomes a living soul depends on what you do in the minutes, hours, and days after these words end. When the real work begins in the middle of your ordinary, difficult, noisy life. You have heard enough now that a part of you begins to imagine itself as a worker, a seeker, almost a hero of inner transformation. Be careful. Another trap waits here. This heroic self-image is just another costume worn by the same old machine. It cannot build a soul. At best, it can decorate the prison walls. To go further, you must understand more about this machine you inhabit. You are not made of one piece. You are an awkward orchestra of three main instruments: thought, feeling, and movement instinct. The head thinks, the heart feels, the body moves and senses. Each has its own language, its own speed, its own needs. In you, they rarely cooperate. Usually one tries to do the work of all three and becomes distorted. Notice this in yourself. When faced with a problem, you think and think and think as if thinking alone could lift a weight or heal a wound. The mind spins, invents stories, argues with itself. It intrudes into areas that are not its domain. At other times, you try to feel your way through what needs clear thought, or to force the body by ideas alone. This confusion wastes energy. The embryo of the soul cannot grow in such disorder. Right now, try to taste these three centers directly. First, bring attention to the head, not as a philosophy, but as sensation. Feel any pressure, warmth, tension in the forehead, the temples, the scalp. Notice the movement of thoughts for a moment without entering their content. Then shift attention to the chest, the beating of the heart, the rise and fall of the breath, any subtle flavor of emotion. Then to the lower body, weight on the chair, contact with the floor, the simple fact of being rooted in gravity. Finally, try for a brief instant to sense all three together, head, chest, belly, while listening to these words. This is a first hint of harmony. When the head, heart, and body are each doing what they are meant to do, something remarkable becomes possible. Thought can see, discriminate, plan. Feeling can value, sense meaning, respond with warmth or clear rejection. The body can act, endure, hold posture. In such alignment, energy is not lost in inner tug of war. A single intention can pass through all three and be carried out. This unified action produces a fine vibration, a material of a different order. The embryo feeds on this. But because you have lived many years in inner disorganization, attempts at harmony feel unnatural. When you try to sense your body while thinking clearly, you may feel clumsy. When you try to stay open emotionally, while not letting feeling flood everything, you feel false. When you try to act without rushing, you feel slow, T. His discomfort is normal. You are like someone learning to walk again after years of limping. The soul requires a more balanced movement than your habits have allowed. Now quietly let the attention rest for a few breaths on the area of the chest, not forcing emotion, only sensing. Then invite in a simple, quiet question. What am I feeling right now underneath the surface? Do not judge the answer. It may be flatness, mild irritation, tenderness, resistance, nothing at all. Name it softly inside. Then, while keeping this feeling in view, bring in the head. See that this is a passing state, not the whole of you. Finally, bring in the body. Feel the support of the chair, the contact of the feet. For a second, three centers bow to a single awareness. This is the kind of alignment that strengthens the embryo. As your three centers begin to cooperate even a little, another faculty starts to awaken, real conscience, not the conscience you were taught as a child, which is full of borrowed rules, fear of punishment, desire for approval. That is social conscience. It changes with fashion and culture. What was sin in one century becomes entertainment in another. This conscience is useful for social order, but it has little to do with the soul. Real conscience is something far more uncomfortable and far more precious. It is the capacity to see in one simultaneous flash all your contradictions, what you have done, what you have failed to do, how you have hurt others and yourself without excuse and without despair. It is an inner light that, when it appears, burns, but also clarifies. For brief moments, you may have felt it, a sharp, wordless recognition that cuts deeper than guilt, deeper than pride. Ordinarily, you avoid this. You rush to explain, to justify, to forget. You say, I did my best. They deserved it. It's not my fault. Everyone does this. You patch the cracks. You cover the mirror. You prefer a flattering lie to a painful truth. This is normal for the machine, but deadly for the embryo. The soul cannot be formed on lies. It needs contact with reality, however bitter. Right now, Invite a small taste of this. Let your mind bring up one concrete instance, not the worst, just one, where you know you were not true. Perhaps you betrayed a promise or spoke cruelly or acted out of cowardice. As the memory comes, do not drown in it. At the same time, feel your body, the breath, the spine, the feet. Let the head see the fact this happened. Let the heart feel whatever arises, shame, sorrow, regret. Let the body stay present. Do not flee into self-hatred or excuses. Stay. This is a tiny intentional contact with conscience. If this is sincere, you will feel a kind of inner pain, not self-pity, not dramatic remorse, but a clean, steady ache. This ache is valuable. If you accept it without running away, it begins to dissolve something stiff and false in you. The energy that was trapped in defending an image is released. It becomes available for the embryo. In this way, real conscience and voluntary suffering are intimately linked. Do not turn this into a habit of morbid self-accusation that would lie feed another piece of the machine. Real conscience is not a continuous torture. It appears rarely in moments of greater presence, and its action is precise. You cannot summon it at will, but you can prepare the ground by refusing to lie to yourself, by observing your contradictions, by not rushing to paint over what you see. When conscience arrives, say inwardly, "Yes, I see," and bear the light as long as you can. Now sense the area between your shoulder blades, a place you almost never notice. It may feel blank or tense or numb. At the same time, be aware of any subtle taste of emotion present now, perhaps a slight unease from this talk of conscience. Hold both, the back, the feeling, then add thought. Right now, I prefer seeing the truth to comforting lies. Let this sentence be known, not merely spoken. This triad, body, feeling, thought, under one intention, creates the conditions where conscience can one day flash more fully. If you were in a work group, there would be another powerful tool available: movements. Sacred movements are not ordinary dance or exercise. They are carefully constructed postures and sequences that bring the three centers into a precise relationship under the demand of attention. Each gesture, each angle, each rhythm is like a letter in a cosmic language. When you perform them rightly, you are literally writing certain laws into your body. You are not in a hall now. There is no instructor, no group, no music, but you can still receive something of this principle. The essence of movement is intentional posture. Even in this moment, sitting, you can adjust your posture slightly to align with a more conscious state. Let the spine lengthen, not as a rigid stick, but as if gently lifted from above. Let the shoulders widen a little and drop, the chin level, the head balanced. Feel the weight descending through the hips into the chair, through the feet into the ground. You have just made a small movement. Now, while maintaining this posture, bring your hands together in any simple way, resting one in the other or touching lightly. Feel the exact point of contact, the skin, the pressure, the warmth. At the same time, be aware of your breathing and of the fact that you are hearing these words. This small configuration of posture, sensation, and attention is already a form of movement. It organizes your scattered energies for a moment. In more complex sacred movements, the body is placed in positions that the machine would never spontaneously choose, asymmetrical, precise, demanding. The arms may form angles, the head may turn one way, the torso another, the legs move in a different rhythm. The mind must remember the sequence, the emotions respond to the effort, and to the group, the body strains. To do all this while remembering oneself, while not losing the sense of I am here in this form, generates a fine fire. That fire tempers the embryonic soul. Without movements, you can still use posture and gesture in an intentional way. So often your body reflects and reinforces your inner sleep, collapsed chest, drooping head, restless fidgeting, slack mouth. These postures leak energy. They support a low level of being. To change your posture consciously, even for a short time, is to disagree with your inertia. It is a quiet protest against the tyranny of habit. Try, for a short moment, this experiment. Sitting as you are, let the spine lengthen, the chest open slightly, the head balance as if suspended by a thread from above. Place your hands where they can be felt easily. Now, without hardening, let a quiet dignity enter this posture, as if you are receiving something important, as if you are a responsible being in the universe, not a distracted accident. Hold this form for a few breaths, sensing the body clearly. Notice how the mind reacts, what feelings arise. Include them, but keep the form. This is a small movement of being. As you repeat such intentional forms and gestures in many situations, standing in line, sitting at a desk, waiting in a room, you begin to carve a subtle shape inside yourself. The body becomes less a heap of habits and more an instrument. The embryo grows in a vessel that is not constantly leaking through unconscious posture and tension. Form serves essence. All of this would be scattered and inconsistent without a unifying direction. For the soul to develop, there must be a clear aim, not a fantasy of escape, not a vague wish to be happier or more spiritual, but a sober, concrete aim rooted in your deepest sense of value. This aim becomes a magnet in your inner world, drawing scattered energies into a line. What is your aim? Do not answer too quickly. There are many counterfeit aims in you: to be admired, to be comfortable, to avoid pain, to feel special, to be left alone. These are understandable. They are not criminal, but they are not sufficient to support real work. A real aim must be larger than your vanity and dearer than your laziness. It must be strong enough that when remembered, it can make you accept the friction of going against yourself. Right now, ask quietly, if my time on earth were short, what quality of being would I most wish to establish in myself? Perhaps it is sobriety, love, courage, truthfulness, presence. Do not make a long list. Find one word, one essence. Let it stand. Feel how your head understands it, how your heart responds to it, how your body feels it. This may be the beginning of an aim. This aim is not a slogan to repeat 10 times a day. It is a direction to measure yourself against. During the day, in moments of choice, you can ask, does this thought, this action, this expression serve my aim or dilute it? To make this comparison honestly is already a form of voluntary suffering. You will see how often you betray your own declared direction. Do not use this as a stick to beat yourself. Use it as a mirror. As you continue, you will also discover something darker and more stubborn than ordinary laziness or distraction. You will meet what could be called your chief feature, the particular pattern in you that most consistently sabotages awakening. For one, it may be vanity, for another, fear, for another, resentment, for another, the need to control, for another, self-pity. This feature colors almost everything you do, but until it is seen, it operates silently. You cannot choose your chief feature as a spiritual ornament. It is discovered painfully, gradually, through repeated observation. You notice that again and again in different situations. The same taste appears, the same posture, the same inner story. When criticized, when praised, when ignored, when included, always this particular reaction takes advantage. To see this without hatred and without excuse is a major step. The embryo grows each time you accept to see how deeply you are ruled. Your aim and your chief feature are connected. The more you feed your aim with attention and effort, the more your chief feature resists, like a dragon guarding a hoard. To meet this dragon consciously again and again, without running away, is a royal road to the development of will. Not will as brute force, but will as the capacity to choose against your own mechanical nature for the sake of something higher. Now, for a brief moment, let the thought of your aim or the faint beginning of one stand quietly in the mind. At the same time, feel the body, the breath, the weight, the contact points. Let the heart also speak. Do you really care for this, or is it just another decoration? Feel honestly. If there is even a small spark of real care, of real longing to be different in your being, then you have enough to continue. This spark is more valuable than all your theories. As you work, something else begins to clarify. The difference between personality and essence. Personality is what you have borrowed: roles, opinions, cultural habits, family patterns, praise and blame, the mask you show the world and the mask you show yourself. It is necessary for living in society, but it is not you. Essence is what was born with you: your innate tendencies, your native intelligence, your particular flavor of perception, your real capacities and limitations. In most adults, personality has swollen to enormous proportions, covering essence like thick layers of paint over old wood. You show the world your painted surface and forget there is anything underneath. You defend this paint with great seriousness. When someone scratches it, you feel as if you are being destroyed. Essence, meanwhile, remains small, undernourished. You have glimpses of essence in certain simple moments, when you are deeply moved by something true, when you respond spontaneously with kindness, when you feel innocent awe, when you laugh from the belly without irony. Essence is younger than your age, more direct, less complicated. It cares very little for impressing others. Essence can grow. Personality can only become more rigid or polished. The soul embryo forms in essence, not in personality. It needs the sincerity, the directness, the vulnerability of essence, but it must live in a world where personality is necessary as clothing. The work does not ask you to throw away personality and become a naked child in a harsh climate. It asks you to stop identifying with the clothing and to begin responding from a deeper layer. Self-observation shows you personality in action, automatic phrases, rehearsed smile, defensive attitudes. Self-remembering allows you to stand slightly behind these. Conscious labor and voluntary suffering begin to shift the center of gravity from personality to essence. You may notice that you speak a little less, listen a little more. You react more slowly, feel more honestly. You admit not knowing. You stop pretending to be wise when you are not. This humility, if real, is a sign that essence is breathing. Now feel the face from within, the muscles around the mouth, the cheeks, the forehead. Notice if there is a mask there, a habitual expression you carry even when alone. See it without trying to change it yet. At the same time, look inward and ask very softly, what am I underneath all this acting? Do not answer with words. Let the question hang in silence for a few seconds, with the body sensed, the breath known. This silent question belongs to essence. You see now how all these elements, three centers, conscience, posture, aim, chief feature, personality, essence, are not separate topics but different faces of one reality. The possibility of becoming more conscious in the midst of ordinary life. This is what I call the fourth way. Not the way of the monk who abandons life for the cloister. Not the way of the yogi who withdraws to the cave. Not the way of the fakir who tortures the body to force awakening, but a way in which you remain in your job, your family, your city, and use every circumstance as material for work. The fourth way demands more from you precisely because it offers no outer escape. You cannot blame the monastery, the mountain, the ashes for your failures. You are confronted daily with the raw truth of who you are when no sacred costume protects you. Your impatience in traffic, your pettiness at work, your secret resentments at home, all of these become mirrors. You learn to use them instead of being used by them. Walking down the street can be an exercise. Feel your feet striking the ground, the swing of the arms, the air on your face. At the same time, be aware of the stream of impressions, people, sounds, colors, and simultaneously keep a thin thread of I am here walking. Eating can be an exercise. Taste each bite, feel the movement of the jaw, see the impulse to reach automatically for the next. Speaking can be an exercise, listening to your own voice from within, sensing the body as you talk, noticing the wish to impress, to dominate, to hide. Nothing in life is wasted if used in this way. This path offers no final certificate, no guaranteed paradise, no official rank of awakened. The soul embryo, even as it grows, remains vulnerable. It can be starved by long neglect, damaged by betrayal of conscience, frozen by complacency. You cannot say, now I have attained, now I can rest. Each day, each hour, the question returns, am I present, am I working, or am I once again lost in waking sleep? This may sound harsh, but there is also a quiet mercy in it. You do not have to wait for some distant future to begin. The work is never somewhere else. It is always here, in this very breath, this very thought, this very sensation. The necessity is ongoing. The beginning is always now. Even if you have wasted years, even if you have lived entirely as a machine until this hour, the next minute can be different. That is the miracle hidden in your condition. So let us not end with a comfortable conclusion. There is no tidy bow to tie around this. There is only this: you are not yet what you could be. What you call your soul is at best an embryo. It may die unborn, or it may grow into something capable of bearing real responsibility in the universe. No one can do this for you. No belief, no teacher, no system, no video can replace the labor that must be done inside your own life. Right now, one last time, come back to yourself. Feel the totality of your body as one field of sensation. Notice the thoughts moving, the emotions coloring the moment. Without rejecting or clinging, allow a quiet recognition. I am here in this body, in this moment, between birth and death, with a possibility not yet realized. Let this recognition be simple, without ornament. From here, the work either continues or it does not. In the next small annoyance, will you remember to observe? In the next pleasure, will you remember to be present? In the next wave of negativity, will you accept a little voluntary suffering instead of spilling it outward? In the next lie to yourself, will you choose a small taste of conscience instead? These questions are not for later. They follow you out of this moment like invisible companions. Do not make grand plans. Take the next hour as your school, the next conversation, the next task, the next quiet moment alone, then the next day, then another. The soul does not grow from one dramatic experience, but from thousands of small conscious acts accumulated over time. Each time you begin again, you prove that you are more than your past. There is no final word here, only this verdict. If you wish your soul to be more than an unfulfilled design, the work must become a living thread through your days, never finished, always beginning. Again and again, you wake for a second, fall asleep, and wake again. In these brief awakenings, repeated and deepened, the embryo slowly, quietly becomes a being. You learn words like freedom, choice, individuality, but none of these touch the real question, am I awake? Your ordinary education never taught you this question. It taught you what to think, not how to see. It trained your mind to accumulate information, not to discover whether there is a stable center in you that can resist the tides of life. So you move through years, decades, believing something inside is growing by itself. But the bitter truth is nothing essential grows in you without effort, without friction, without conscious work. Feel your jaw now. Do not move it. Do not relax it. Only see whether there is tension there. Remain still, only aware. This tiny act of impartial seeing without trying to fix or change is already different from how you live. Usually the moment you notice tension, another part rushes in. Relax, fix, improve, correct. Now we try something else. We begin with seeing. This seeing, this bare attention, is the first food the soul embryo needs. You have been taught to believe your life is moving in a straight line from birth to death, and on the other side, your soul will continue. I say to you, if nothing stable is formed in you before death, nothing individual continues. The matter of the body returns to the earth. The energies disperse. Certain impressions may echo, but there is no permanent I to carry forward. Nature recycles unused material. It does not waste. Imagine a house under construction. The foundations are laid. Some walls are up. Beams are scattered, tools lie around, but no roof, no doors, no completed rooms. The worker abandons the project halfway. Storms come, wind blows, rains fall. In time, the structure collapses. Was there ever a house? The plan existed, the materials existed, but the house was never finished. So it is with the soul. In most people, the project is abandoned before it begins. Right now, your attention slips, wanders. Already you have drifted into some association, a memory, a worry, a comment about these words. Gently, without violence, come back. Feel the contact of your feet with the floor. Notice your breath entering, leaving. And while you sense these simple facts, listen. Do not fight the thoughts. Instead, place something more solid in the foreground. Sensation, presence, the fact that I am here, hearing. What you are beginning to taste is the difference between automatic consciousness and intentional presence. Ordinary life never demands this degree of presence from you. You can eat, speak, drive, work, argue, watch, even say I love you while half asleep inside, and society will be satisfied with that. But the embryo of the soul receives no nourishment from this sleep. It feeds only on moments when you are truly here, not lost in inner cinema. You believe you decide. But examine one ordinary day. Do you decide your thoughts? They appear, collide, drag you into stories. Do you decide your emotions? They surge, grip you, color your vision. Do you decide your tensions, your habits, your petty lies? No, they decide you. You are like a coachman asleep on a carriage, horses racing, reins dragging on the ground, the road chosen by chance and accident, and yet you brag, I know where I am going. Now, as an experiment, sense the whole outline of your body at once, head, shoulders, arms, hands, chest, back, legs, feet. Of course, you cannot feel every cell, but try to be aware of the general presence of the body. At the same time, let a small part of attention notice the stream of thoughts passing. Do not follow them, just notice that they move. Between these two, body and thought, let there be a third, the quiet awareness that sees both. For a brief second, the embryo stirs. Mechanical life by itself cannot produce this. Left to its own devices, it produces repetition. You notice the same arguments, the same desires, the same mistakes, the same self-accusations, the same fantasies about change. You call the repetition experience or maturity, but watch closely, it is the same circle. You move, but you do not advance. A machine can turn very fast and go nowhere. For transformation, another kind of energy is required, a finer material that does not appear automatically. This energy comes when you suffer consciously your own contradictions, when you resist your habits, not from repression, but from a clear aim, when you remain present in situations where you would usually escape. Then something begins to crystallize in you, like a subtle body inside the coarse body. This subtle body in ancient teachings is sometimes called the astral body. I tell you, for most, it is still only an embryo, a potential. It is not a ghost floating somewhere. It is structured from the very substance of your attention, your sincerity, your struggles with yourself. It is born not in dreams, but in these small, deliberate acts of presence. Picture a vessel in which different substances are being slowly cooked. Some are heavy, some light, some volatile. If the fire is too weak, nothing changes. If it is too strong, everything burns. The W. Orc is the art of maintaining the right fire beneath the vessel of your life so that a new, more stable substance forms. This new substance is the beginning of a real soul. Now notice the position of your tongue in your mouth. Is it pressed against the teeth, lying heavy, tense, relaxed? Do not adjust it, only see. At the same time, remain aware of the sounds entering your ears and add a small whisper inside, not spoken, but known, I watch. This is not imagination. It is a simple alignment of attention toward fact. In such moments, the embryo receives a drop of nourishment. Understand the difference between ideas and being. You can understand all this intellectually, nod, agree, argue, quote it later. None of that feeds the embryo. The mind can repeat the recipe for bread, describe it, analyze it, but the stomach cannot eat a description. It needs real bread. In the same way, your soul cannot eat philosophies. It eats impressions taken in consciously, your real efforts, your voluntary struggles with yourself. You have many parts. One is sentimental, moved to tears by these ideas. Another is cynical, saying this is all just metaphor. Another is lazy, hoping this listening will substitute for effort. Another is ambitious, imagining itself as already advanced. See these parts. They are all temporary voices. They arise, speak, vanish. The embryo of the soul is of a different order. It is not just another voice. It is the possibility of a center that can watch all voices without being swallowed by them. Right now, perhaps there is a faint sense of me behind the eyes, watching. Do not squeeze it. Do not dramatize it. Just give it a little more space. At the same time, feel one very simple thing: the movement of your chest with each breath. Let there be this double awareness, the seeing of yourself and the physical fact of breathing. Stay for a few seconds. This is like a weak heartbeat of the embryo. Why do I insist so much on these small inner tasks? Because without them, everything remains theory. And theory is safe. It changes nothing. You can consume ideas about the soul for years and remain entirely mechanical. These shocks of attention, feeling your jaw, your tongue, your feet, your breath, are the beginning of work with real material, not fantasies. In your ordinary way of living, higher energies constantly appear and are wasted. A beautiful sunset, a deep silence, a painful humiliation, a moment of danger. Each of these produces a finer substance inside you. But because you are not present at that moment, it evaporates into mechanical thoughts, daydreams, self-pity, self-congratulation. The embryo receives nothing. Life keeps giving. Sleep keeps stealing. Consider how quickly an emotion takes possession of you. A few words from someone close to you, and at once you are burning with anger or drowning in hurt. For hours, sometimes days, you revolve around the same scene in your head. Who decided this? Did you in full consciousness choose, now I will suffer for 3 days? No, something in you was pressed and the machine obeyed. Meanwhile, another possibility remained unused: to observe the emotion as it arises, to sense the body at the same time, to remain present in the fire without being entirely consumed. This would have fed the embryo. Now recall, not as a story, but as a fresh impression, some recent moment when you were unpleasantly upset. As you remember, at the same time, feel your hands and your feet now. Do not sink fully into the memory. Hold a thread to the present moment through sensation. Notice what happens when you are a little more present with a difficult memory. Something in you stands between the picture and the reaction. That something is closer to the substance from which the soul can be formed. The formation of this subtle body is not guaranteed by time, age, or cultural belief. An old person may die without a soul. A young person may already have begun to form one through conscious struggle. The measure is not how long you have lived, but how often you have been really present in your life, how much conscious suffering you have accepted, how much of your automatic nature you have seen without lying, and how often you have gone against it with a real aim. Your physical body was formed by nature through the efforts of your parents, through food, through time. You did not have to remember yourself to grow from child to adult. But the second body, the soul, does not grow automatically. Nature does not finish this work for you. It gives you the possibility and then waits. If you do nothing, it directs your unused finer energies elsewhere. You remain useful only as an organic apparatus for the planet, not as a conscious being. Imagine 3 stories of a house. The ground floor is the physical body, eating, sleeping, reproducing, surviving. The second floor is your ordinary personality, thoughts, emotions, roles, opinions, fears. The third floor, in most people, is empty. At best, a dusty attic. The work aims to build something inhabitable on that third floor, a room where a real I can one day live. At present, impressions go no higher than the second floor. They get stuck in the noise of personality. Our task is to lift them higher again and again until a new structure takes form. Now quietly sense the length of your spine from the base to the top of your head. You do not need anatomical precision, only a simple awareness of this vertical line. At the same time, be aware of the air entering your nostrils, leaving. Hold this double sensation while hearing my voice. This alignment begins to draw your scattered energies toward a subtle axis. Imagine without fantasy that the embryo of the soul gathers strength along this axis. Of course, you will forget. In a few minutes, something will distract you. The phone, a noise, a thought, an itch. You will follow it and lose this state. Do not be discouraged by this. Seeing the forgetting is also part of the work. Each time you remember that you have forgotten, a small spark appears. The embryo feeds on both your efforts and your honest recognition of failure. You must understand, your present sense of I is a fiction woven from fleeting states. When hungry, you are one I. When flattered, another. When afraid, yet another. Each speaks in the fire. Rest person, each says I, but there is no master, no owner. The embryo of the soul is the possibility of a master, but like all embryos, it is vulnerable. It can be suffocated by lies, laziness, vanity, identification, or it can be protected and nourished by sincerity, effort, attention. Turn your attention now to the simple fact of being here, not as a grand mystical experience, but as a quiet recognition. There is a presence in this body, in this moment. Stay with that for a breath or two. Notice how quickly the mind tries to interpret, name, comment. Gently put less fuel into the comments, more into the raw sense of existing, breathing, listening. This taste is very delicate, but if it is repeated many times in many circumstances, something begins to accumulate. Mechanical life pulls you constantly outward to tasks, screens, worries, desires. There is nothing wrong with tasks. Life must be lived. But if all of your attention is permanently thrown outward, nothing solid collects inside. The embryo remains starved. The work does not ask you to escape life. It asks you to live it differently, with a portion of attention always reserved for inner seeing, inner presence, no matter what is happening outside. This is how the first fragile structure of the soul embryo is formed, through small, repeated, intentional acts of presence carried into ordinary moments. Washing dishes while aware of the hands, walking while sensing the feet, speaking while aware of the taste of I am here speaking now. Add to this the effort to see your mechanical reactions in the heat of the moment, to see your anger, your jealousy, your fear without immediately justifying or expressing it, and you have the beginning of real inner work. You may ask, how will I know if something is really forming? You will not receive a certificate. There will be no fireworks. But slowly you begin to notice that in moments where you once were completely lost, now a small part remains watchful. In the midst of criticism, a part observes your offense. In the midst of pleasure, a part sees your greed. In the midst of fear, a part senses the body and breath. This observing part is not yet the finished soul, but it is of the same substance. Now, one more time, use this very moment as a laboratory. Feel the contact points of your body, back against the chair, feet on the floor, hands where they rest. Take one breath with full awareness of the air entering, filling, leaving. At the same time, let a quiet recognition appear. I exist now. Do not decorate it. Do not dramatize. Just this simple fact. And see, if only for a second, that this is different from the way you usually exist. If you can begin to repeat this taste, not only when listening to spiritual words, but in the supermarket, at work, in conflict, in boredom, then the embryo will receive regular nourishment. The work of forming a soul is not about acquiring more ideas. It is about learning to be present in the raw, unadorned reality of your own life again and again until something stable is born inside that can survive the destruction of the outer form. You do not yet know whether your soul will grow or remain an unrealized possibility. No one can guarantee you this, but you can begin now to live as if it depended on each moment of awareness, each honest seeing of yourself, each deliberate act of inner presence. In truth, it does. You imagine that because you have now understood something about the soul as an embryo, the work has already progressed. This is another illusion. Understanding without observation is like drawing a map of a country you have never walked. It may look accurate, but your feet know nothing. So now we must come to something far more difficult than agreeing with ideas, learning to see yourself as you are. Ordinarily, when you look at yourself, you judge, justify, explain, condemn. You say, I'm lazy, I'm anxious, I'm a good person, I'm spiritual. This is not seeing, this is dreaming about yourself. Self-observation in the work has a different taste. It is like looking at an animal through clear glass. It moves, it growls, it sleeps, it hunts. You do not hate it or love it. You simply watch. Right now, let us try. Bring your attention gently to the area of your chest. Notice whether the breath is shallow or deep, fast or slow. You are not to improve it. Just see. At the same time, listen to these words, and in a quiet corner of your awareness, notice any commentary arising. I'm doing this well. This is silly. I feel calm. I feel nothing. All of this is material for observation. Nothing is excluded. Nothing is corrected. For a few moments, become a scientist of yourself, collecting impartial data. You will see rapidly how difficult it is to remain impartial. In an instant, some part jumps in to take sides. I shouldn't be tense. I should be more present. This is wrong. This is right. That part is already adding paint to the mirror. Self-observation wipes the paint away. You begin to discover that what you took as your identity is a moving surface of reactions, tensions, fantasies, and automatic stories about yourself. Consider a simple example. Someone criticizes you. Immediately a chain reaction occurs. Perhaps the stomach tightens, the chest burns, the face warms. Thoughts gird for battle. They're unfair. I'll show them. I'm such a failure, like they always do this to me. Emotions rise, resentment, shame, anger, despair. Normally, you are swallowed by this storm. You are the anger, you are the hurt. Later you call this having a bad day. In self-observation, another possibility appears. In the very moment of criticism, a small part of attention turns inward and sees the tightening of the jaw, the acceleration of the heart, the surge of thoughts. Nothing is suppressed, but something watches. Now recall a recent situation in which you were criticized or felt judged. As you remember it, do not fall entirely into the scene. Keep one thread in the present. Feel the weight of your body on the chair, the contact of your feet with the floor. From this anchored position, lightly re-evoke the moment. Notice what comes, perhaps a contraction in the stomach, a memory of the person's tone, a flare of emotion. Do not fix it, do not justify it. Simply label quietly sensation in stomach, rush of anger, thought defending. This is the work of self-observation. You will discover that your inner world is a crowded marketplace. Thoughts are vendors shouting their slogans. Emotions are buyers pushing and haggling. Bodily tensions are the heavy carts blocking the way. Before, you believed you were the market. Now slowly, something appears in you that can walk through the market, watch, and not immediately buy everything on offer. This walker is closer to real I than any of the voices. But do not rush. At first, self-observation is clumsy, sporadic. You will remember for a few seconds and then be swept away for minutes, hours. You will see one small thing and then congratulate yourself, and in that very pride, fall back to sleep. Good. Let this also be observed. The point is not to create a new polished personality who acts spiritual. The point is to bring light into the dark attic where all the discarded fragments of yourself are stored. Now feel the muscles around your eyes. Are they tense, squinting, tired? Do nothing about it. Only see. Notice if a part of you wants to relax them to do it right. Observe that part as well. Include it all. The machine does not like to be caught in the act. It prefers to operate behind a curtain. Each time you catch it, each time you see the exact moment a habit begins, you draw back the curtain a little more. This pulling back is painful, sometimes humiliating. You see jealousies, pettiness, lies you have told yourself for years. This discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is the first real suffering that can be used. Very slowly, you begin to distinguish between description and observation. I am an angry person is description. Right now, heat in the chest, tightening in the throat, impulse to shout is observation. The first keeps you in a story, the second feeds the embryo. Why? Because observation is an act of attention that is not completely identified with what it sees. It creates a tiny gap between the event and the watcher. In that gap, something new can appear. Self-observation, however, is still passive. It is light in the room, but the furniture has not yet moved. For the soul embryo to grow, another function is needed, the ability to stand in two worlds at once. This is self-remembering. You have had brief experiences of self-remembering without knowing the name. Perhaps you were in danger, a car swerved, a step was missed, and for a second everything became sharp, sounds, colors, the sense of your own existence all at once. Or perhaps you stood under a night sky, suddenly aware not only of the stars, but of yourself under them. A quiet clarity appeared, I am here. Then, as quickly as it came, it vanished, swallowed by the next thought. These are accidental flashes. The work aims to make them intentional. Self-remembering is not repeating the words, I am. It is not affirming, I exist. These are just mental slogans. Self-remembering is a divided attention in which part of your awareness is on the outer scene and part on the inner fact of being present. Oh, arrows, one outward, one inward. When both are held together, even weakly, a different state appears. It is simple and sober without fireworks, but its taste is unmistakable. Now try a small experiment. Wherever you are, let your eyes rest on some ordinary object in front of you, a cup, a wall, a window, your own hand. Look at it. Notice shape, color, shadow. At the same time, bring a portion of attention back to the feeling of your own body, the contact with the chair, the breath, perhaps the beating of the heart. Hold both, the object and the sense of yourself, as simultaneously as you can. And while you do this, hear inwardly, not as words, but as a quiet fact, I am here, seeing this. You will find you can do this only for a very short moment before one side collapses. Either you disappear into the object and forget yourself, or you sink into yourself and the object becomes vague. The effort to hold both is like trying to balance on a narrow ridge. It requires a certain inner muscle that is for now very weak. This effort is self-remembering. Notice also how quickly thoughts rush in to claim the experience. This is it, I am doing it, or I felt nothing, I failed, or is this enlightenment? These thoughts are not self-remembering. They are just more market noise. Real self-remembering is wordless. It is like a flame that gives light, but makes no speech. Try again, more simply. Feel your right hand from within, the tingling, warmth, contact with the air. At the same time, listen to my voice. Do not strain, do not frown. Let it be like holding two small birds, one in each hand, firm enough that they do not fly away, gentle enough that they are not crushed. For a second, there is your hand, the sound of these words, and the quiet awareness of being the one in whom both appear. This is the embryo's breathing. Self-remembering is active, not passive. You must bring it. Life rarely forces it on you except in moments of shock. Most of the day you can move on automatic. To remember yourself is to introduce a shock intentionally, a friction between your habitual way of being and a new possibility. It is work. The body does not like it. The emotions resist. The mind protests. This is unnatural, exhausting. Of course it is unnatural for the machine, but it is natural for the growth of the soul. You may ask, why is this necessary? Why can't the soul grow from love, from goodness, from being kind? These are not excluded. Real love, real goodness can be powerful food, but what you call love is often attachment, sentimentality, imagination. What you call goodness is often fear of disapproval, desire for approval, habit. Without self-remembering, even your noblest actions occur in sleep. They do not consolidate a permanent I. They simply decorate the personality. Self-remembering, combined with self-observation, begins to produce a certain substance in you, a fine energy that is neither purely physical nor purely mental. It is experienced as a slight density, a collectedness. You may notice that in rare moments when you remember yourself, your posture changes without trying, your breath deepens, it's become more steady. The body responds to this new center. It is as if the scattered pieces of you momentarily draw closer together. Now we come to a harder truth. This state cannot be produced without effort. And effort in the work has a specific meaning: conscious labor and voluntary suffering. These phrases may sound severe. Good, they are. The soul embryo does not grow in comfort. It grows when you accept conscious friction between what you are and what you aim to be. Conscious labor is to do what you have to do anyway, but with more awareness than you usually bring. Washing dishes, but sensing the hands, the arms, the water, while at the same time watching thoughts and remembering yourself. Working at your job while keeping a small portion of attention on the breathing and the posture. Listening to someone while also aware of your inner reactions. This adds nothing externally impressive. No one applauds you. But inwardly, the value of such moments is immense. You have transformed a piece of automatic life into food for the embryo. Voluntary suffering is something else. It is the decision to endure consciously what you would usually escape or express mechanically.